Here we are again. My God, any of you need to take deep breaths just to get through the day? I do. Hi, how are you? I hope everybody is doing okay. Oh boy, so much is going on. So much is going on. My title, No Reference Point, actually comes from this couple was trying to get out of Asheville. They're driving around, no gas, no food, no water. I'm going to link below to this. I'm just going to play a few minutes, but it was a very interesting video to watch. This couple try to get out of Asheville. They were trying to get to Charlotte, and they were just, yeah. This came up really fast, all of the flooding in Asheville.
No way.
His car is completely under.
Oh my gosh.
I know what I did. See, I just do something a little bit different instead of going through my hello, radar first, all of that. Let me share what I was trying to share with you. Okay, now we can do it.
No way.
His car is completely under.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my, you've got, look at all this damage here. These are all, it's like a storage facility.
We were literally just there. That is nuts.
Hey, it's Nathaniel.
And Jillian.
And we are full-time musicians and filmmakers. Our band is called The Bergamot. Recently, we have been getting ready for a big Christmas tour starting in November and making a new album. So because of that, we were offered an artist residency down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we were leaving on September 25th, and we stayed the night in Asheville.
And little do we know that the hurricane would move 800 plus miles and the eye of the storm would hit Asheville the night that we got into town. So we knew that there was going to be some sort of rain and a little bit of wind, but it was just supposed to hit Florida and then dissipate. And then this is what ended up happening. So we're currently about 30 minutes away from Asheville in a hurricane storm, and it did this to our windshield wipers, so we couldn't see. It was terrifying, and we just bought a new one, so there she goes. Wish us luck. Hurricane weather. Oh man. We're about 33 minutes from Asheville. How you doing?
Good.
We safely made it to Asheville. Thank the good Lord Jesus. It's 3:21 a.m. Just completely.
And then they're just trying to get out of Asheville. So the link is in the chat, and you can check it out for yourself. Yeah. Always important to have your car on full. When it's not, and you're stuck like these people, and you see the gas lines day after day in Asheville, and maybe, I don't know, keep some food or some water in your car, especially if you are knowing that there may be some severe weather coming your way. Okay. So hello. It is October 6th, 2024. Hello, Crazy Pots. Andrew Cruz, analog synth player from Southwest Florida. How south are you, Analog? Because we've got another hurricane coming into Florida, and it is not looking good. I'll show you. Yeah. And you know what I thought? After watching some of these broadcasts on Hurricane Milton, and then knowing that FEMA is really getting trashed, and FEMA, I'll play you this video of this FEMA official, you know, the Sunday news shows what she had to say, which is so flippant outrageous, that all of these people, you know, putting out the disinformation, and she claims that people are, apparently somebody posted a video and it went viral about having militias go against FEMA. I didn't see the video, but it's very dangerous. FEMA employees are scared. And then what's going to happen? Nobody's going to be rescued. Nobody's going to get the help. But I still have more to show you. People, boots on the ground, saying FEMA is nowhere in sight. Even in Florida. Where? Where are these people getting the help? From each other. Okay. Sandra, hello. Bahama Mama. Yeah, I feel the same, Bahama Mama. Joel, hello. Christopher, hello. B-Dub, hello. Angelos, hello. Geofactor 3. Tony, hello. Lost power today. Tony's in the New Orleans area. He lost power at 2:30. No explanation. No nothing. That seems to be happening a lot now. Rage Against the Machine, Rick Yorkin, James B., Patricia White, Julio, Bella, Oracle 11, Shauna Howard, Alicia, Julie, Hypocrites Matrix. Hi. Silent Walk and L78. Hey, thank you. Michael Wilson, Kim Blanchard, Tonette, Denise, CK, Son of a Beach, and Yabba Dabba, Miss Blanche, Mr. Nobody. I don't know if you've walked into a strange new room. Bird's Eye Video. I did see a video about, was it troopers? I heard a sheriff in one county told FEMA to get out because of the interference with rescues. Capricorny, Louisiana Skywatch. Oh boy. Tired? Yeah. This life can do it to you. Tony Stoffer. Okay, so we're going to do radar, which, they're bringing back severe weather. Look at this line of supercells. Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. And this weather front, it's going. Did I do it again? I did. I can't believe it. I did it again. Okay. This is very strange in Florida, but first, look at this line of supercells. Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, right on up into Canada. Yes, the line the nanobot line activating into supercells with the frequencies hitting it. So, Florida. Do you have its precipitation for the entire state minus a little portion of the panhandle? The hell is going on, Florida? Hey, what is going on? It looks like you have pretty dangerous pulses on right off the East Coast. Oh, and off the West Coast. Well, isn't that interesting? I don't think that's supposed to be happening unless, of course, man is emitting frequencies, and it sure does look like that. Perhaps it's a little bit of preparation for what's coming to Florida by Wednesday. Extremely low frequencies still, Southern California. Oh, and they had an earthquake. That's right. And apparently no damage. No one was harmed, but 7 active severe weather warnings. New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, right where that line of supercells. And you have a tornado warning. Tornado warning. Forest County in Pennsylvania, located near Marionville. Yes, it all comes back. We had a quiet couple of days and no longer. So, special marine warnings. Woods Wall West Crack to Woods Wall East Crack. Strong thunderstorms. You got severe thunderstorms. And again, I have to say, severe thunderstorms includes large hail, straight line winds, very high winds, tornado, flash flooding. We don't have just regular rain anymore. The counties in New York: Livingston, Monroe, Ontario, and Wayne. Special marine warning for Sudus Bay, 11 nautical miles northeast of Ontario, Ontario on the lake. Severe thunderstorms coming to Ohio and Pennsylvania, Columbiana, Ohio, Allegheny, Beaver, Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah, Armstrong and Clarion also in Pennsylvania, and Allegheny, Cattaraugus, New York. Okay, the severe weather has come back to us, and I will post the tornado and severe weather alert site in the chat, along with our radar site. Okay, I can't even remember if I think I posted the link to this couple trying to get out of Asheville, which I thought was interesting. Well, I'll post it again just in case. But we're going to start with the biolab southeast of Atlanta, Rockdale County. Still going on. People getting sick. People having to go to the emergency room because they are getting sick.
Dale County now, where the haze is still going strong this morning. It's been nearly a week, hard to believe, since a fire broke out there at the biolab facility that has sent a plume of chemicals into the air that's even reached several areas across metro Atlanta. The EPA and EPD continue to run air quality tests, but say it's not found any concerning level of chemicals outside of that facility. Rockdale County officials did extend an overnight shelter in place order that expires tomorrow morning. It requires residents to stay in place from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Well, let's see if that continues. Check it out tomorrow. People are getting sick, but the levels are safe. And, okay, the flooding that looks just like the flooding in North Carolina is in Croatia.
Croatia now. The heaviest impact was recorded
Going on all over the world. I will post a link if you want to check out what's happened in Croatia. But we also have Albania.
Bad weather hit Albania on Friday morning. Storms with strong winds and heavy rains have created problems not only for passers-by, but also for vehicular traffic.
Okay. So, yeah. Who controls the weather controls the world. The link is in the chat. And I sure wish we could fight these weather terrorists, and this was sent to me by a subscriber. It's only a minute. You've heard it, I'm sure, before, but to fight the tyranny, you have to be independent of the tyranny. And unfortunately, with all of the destruction that our congressmen and women, along with those in the White House, have, well, subjected Americans to, a whole lot, and more end up dependent on the government.
To resist a tyranny, you must be independent of that tyranny for your subsistence. If the government provides your food, your clothing, your shelter, your education, your job, your medical care, your retirement, then the government controls you most effectively indeed. If that government should ever become tyrannical, and they have a way of doing that in history, then you've had it, my friends. We believe that one of the greatest lessons of history that so desperately needs to be relearned by the American people, our forefathers knew it well, is this. Anytime a government is powerful enough to give the people everything they want, it is also powerful enough to take from the people everything they've got. You cannot have one without the other.
Quite right.
That's so desperate.
But this is what has happened already. You know, and a lot of people who think that they're free from this and they don't have any reliance on government really need to reevaluate that, because most Americans are not free of the government. So when you think about all of the people who have been disabled, right? Our FDA putting all of these medications on the market as safe, and wow, thousands upon thousands become disabled. Then they get on Social Security disability. That's just one example. But then you're like, okay, well, you don't want to upset the government because that's That's how you survive. Social Security is never enough to actually live. They just give you enough to survive. And they don't even do that. So, a whole lot are dependent on the government now. And isn't it interesting that month after month, we read the reports about unemployment and all those fabulous jobs that have been created in government. Government has, you can't quote me on this, but I think it's the #1 employer. Okay. That means we're screwed. Now, I was sent this video by a subscriber, Forgotten Fury, Hurricane Helene's devastation in Florida. Jonathan Petramella, who I have recommended that you subscribe because he puts out very good videos. I'm going to play a few minutes, but it's interesting what he's saying because I've said it before. I've said it often, actually, that no, this is not the only place that got hit with flooding or fire or tornadoes, that the towns surrounding it have also been hit. Let's not forget them, right? So I guess a lot of Floridians are maybe a little bit upset about the fact that North Carolina is getting a whole lot of attention. I understand that. And I also, mainstream media always focuses on the worst area, and it's usually a city, right? Not the town surrounding, but the city. And that's why I've tried to capture as much as I have. Because I remember there was a tornado, Mayfield, Kentucky, but this tornado was going through a number of states. And I came upon a video of a woman who was not in Mayfield. She was below it. I think she was in Arkansas. And they got hit in their town. And she was upset because nobody was mentioning the damage to her town, the destruction. Everybody was focused on Mayfield, Kentucky. So I never want to leave anyone out. But with this Hurricane Helene, it is hard because, wow. There are so many. I was listening to this woman in South Carolina talking about the fact that they had no idea that it was going to be so bad where they live in South Carolina. And they thought, oh, well, power went out. It'll come back. You know, you usually think in some hurricane or nor'easter, you're going to get the power back within a day or two, maybe 3. She was told that they probably will not get the power back for 30 days. Okay, so a lot of people are suffering, and it's not just North Carolina. But let's just listen to a few minutes of this in Florida.
It's easy to get caught up in the spectacle, the wind, the wreckage, the waves, the raw power of a storm like Hurricane Helene. But when all we see is destruction,
I mean, these are all just family photos.
we miss the real story.
My grandfather, my grandparents, her. These are all black and white photos.
The quiet devastation, the lives turned upside down in an instant, the ones who don't make the headlines.
I mean, you can see how high the water line was. It was coming in all sides of my house, all the doors. My poor dog and I were laying in bed listening to it just pour in.
That's the small picture.
And I was okay with just throwing it out when it was just wet pieces of paper. Now that I look at it all and think about it and tell a story, it's like, ouch.
I'm going to stop some of you right now. I know what you're seeing here from Florida after Hurricane Helene makes some of you shrug after you've seen the devastation that's hundreds of miles to the north in the Carolinas and Tennessee. In Florida, the devastation doesn't scream. It simmers. It's quieter, easily overlooked by the headlines, but it leaves its scars all the same. This isn't some twisted competition of who suffered more. The destruction on St. Pete Beach is just as real and as painful as the wreckage in the Carolinas. This storm didn't discriminate. It didn't care where it hit or who or how it hurt.
One thing we have to remember, pain doesn't have to compete. Yes, there is catastrophic damage in the mountains of Carolinas and Tennessee, but there were suffocating floodwaters here in Tampa Bay, and the suffering's the same. Yeah, this home is still standing, but many homes in this neighborhood alone are going to be torn down because homes like this just can't exist here anymore. It's not sustainable, not after so many storms and so many floods in such a short amount of time.
Okay, but now we've got Milton coming in, okay? Oh, boy. So he's yeah, absolutely right. You know, when you lose everything and it is devastating. It's not like Floridians have not lost loved ones in all of these storms that have hit Florida. So, and FEMA is pretty much ignoring the Floridians who have suffered from Hurricane Helene, just like they are up in North Carolina. And I'll get to that in a moment. But when you look at the devastation just this past week, and then think about the devastation that has been ongoing for years and years and years, they have taken out a lot of Americans. And with the economy, not too many can actually, recover from this. I don't know if I should play this because I saw that Off-Grid Doug and Stacy got their video taken down because they played this video of Biden actually saying our response is to increase the number and intensity of these extreme weather events. He literally said those words. That was not a mistake. They are putting it in our face that, yes, they are controlling the weather. So I'll post the link and you can watch it for yourself. Lasers. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. You cannot tell me that congressmen and women, those in the White House, mainstream media, local and government officials on every level, state governors, you cannot tell me that they do not know that weather can be controlled and it is being controlled. You can't tell me that DeSantis does not know, governor of Florida. And yes, this was aired 9 years ago.
You know, they were talking about climate change yesterday, and now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion, though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far, it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning. Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now,
it's not alleged to. Okay, this is what drives me crazy. It is not alleged to. They had Senate hearings on the weather modification that was taking place in Vietnam, and our military officials admitted it on the floor of this hearing, and it is not alleged to. And he says inconclusive. China's weather modification, using that during the Olympics, it was inconclusive. No, it was successful. This lying really gets to me. I am. Okay. So, trillion-watt laser, shooting it into the clouds, can cause rain. Marjorie Taylor Greene posts this. What I've seen since this Hurricane Helene and all of these videos coming out about weather modification, I am seeing so many that I did not expect to see talking about weather modification on Twitter. A whole lot like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay. It's unfortunate that we need this kind of devastation to finally get people to talk about the weather being controlled. But at least they're doing it. Will anything come from it? I don't think I finished my thought in the very beginning of this live when I was saying all of these people who are posting on FEMA, and FEMA is nowhere in sight. And if it is in sight, then what is it doing? Interfering with rescue operations, civilians who are in there trying to help. And I just thought, are they bringing Hurricane Milton right now? There's going to be an awful lot of reporting on Hurricane Milton, and it's going to hit. And from what I'm hearing, it's going to be bad. Okay. Then they're going to forget about Hurricane Helene, and then we're going to be on Hurricane Milton. I did wonder if they were bringing it on so fast right after Helene to quiet the voices that a whole lot of people are hearing about Helene. I don't know. It was just a thought that now I'm sharing it with you. So I will post the link to this. You might want to circulate it. I sure would like somebody to be held accountable. Here's another that was sent to me by a subscriber, and she's talking about Disney. A lot of these I've posted. I think many of you have seen already, but there is no reason to not listen again and maybe share. The short clips where we know that most people don't like to watch anything. I think 2 minutes is too long. Not for me, but the shorter, the better.
Disney is creepy and weather modification is real. Any of you seen a Walt Disney production from 1959 titled Eyes in Outer Space? It starts off with talking about weather, the impacts it has on our life, the environment, and what we can do with it.
These future satellites will be the key to precise forecasting and control of weather.
That's weird, but there's more.
And speculate on how satellites might be used in future operations from a worldwide weather center. Electronic maps and view screens display up-to-the-minute pictures of the weather around the Earth.
Sort of sounds like that movie Geostorm with Gerard Butler, where they try to save the world from malfunctioning climate controlling satellites. Anyway.
The touch of a button, the battle begins. On the ground, chemical cloud seeders begin to work the two-storm area. Robot planes seed the clouds from above. Storm centers over Kansas and over Labrador intensify as seeding continues. As an emergency measure, the controller calls for a salvo of vapor rockets to be fired ahead of the path the hurricane is predicted to take. It must be made to move northward and out to sea.
And of course, it goes further into detail, but for the sake of time, I think you get my point.
It's been going on for decades and decades, letting us know in their movies, their TV shows. The Simpsons also did a bit on weather modification. I think at this point, for people to deny and then call you names for wanting to have a conversation about weather modification, geoengineering, I think at this point, there's fewer of them than there are of us, and they really need to get how dangerous they are, that they are complicit with all of this destruction. So this was sent to me by a subscriber that I've posted before. Many people have posted, and I'll post the link to the geoengineering monitoring map. And yeah, recent projects 2019 to 2024, filter by date. And you can see all of the projects that are taking place. Geoengineering, they're doing it in Russia as well. So I didn't fiddle around with the date. You can. Yeah, we're crazy. It's not just two projects going on in Brazil. But I've never played around with this map. But I thought it was interesting. They have a weather modification map as well. Increased precipitation. They have 40 areas that they're doing that. Increased precipitation and reduced precipitation at the same time. Reduced precipitation. Greenhouse gas removal. Nanotechnology. Carbon capture. Look it up. Nanotechnology can remove an awful lot of the greenhouse gas. It can clear up all of the pollution. If you can find my video on that. But so what they're doing with all of this technology is to bring about destruction. That's what evil does. Evil destroys and good creates. So I'm going to play a few minutes of Ryan Hall, y'all. And you have a hurricane coming into France right on into Germany. Wow. Okay.
And we have.
I didn't know that European countries were big on hurricanes, but now, all right, I'll just play it out and I have something to say.
It's October 6th, 2024, and we have some major updates for you on Tropical Storm Milton and a lot of other things. We've been talking about this area of interest in the Gulf of Mexico for a while now. I've been trying my best to hold on to some sense of positivity in the wake of the disaster that is Hurricane Helene, and really trying to hold on to those model runs that were saying it was just going to be a tropical rainmaker as it goes across Florida. But unfortunately, man, things escalated quickly over the weekend, and it looks like now we're going to have a major hurricane on our hands. Kirk's going to go on up over into Europe and maybe cause some problems in France. Leslie is likely not going to bother anybody, so we're not going to talk about it much today. And of course, there is another wave coming off of Africa that is likely going to turn into another storm in the very near future. But of course, all eyes are over here. Tropical Storm Milton currently has wind speeds of around 60 miles per hour, and the pressure is down there around 990 millibars. This thing is going to rapidly intensify, unfortunately, as it goes towards the west coast of Florida. And I believe that we are unfortunately on the brink of another billion-dollar disaster over here in Western Florida. And before we dive too deep into that, I do want to put out a little bit of a PSA. The internet is crazy right now, man, especially over on TikTok and Twitter or X. Just kind of hold on to this thought, okay? As you're browsing social media, as you're looking at videos and stuff, anytime you see a post that makes you feel something, anytime you read something or watch something that makes you feel scared, especially, or fearful, just know that the person who made that piece of content stands to greatly benefit financially based off of how scared you are. So the more anxiety they can provoke from you, the more scared they can make you, the more you keep coming back and keep scrolling, the more everybody stands to gain in this situation. The vast majority of people who are posting weather information online right now are not driven by trying to inform you or trying to keep you safe. They're driven by money. And this is a common thing, right? You know, the Weather Channel is obviously driven by money. Like everybody, it's what makes the world go round, right? But this is a unique situation where literally anybody who knows nothing about anything can pick up their phone, make a TikTok, say some nonsense and have it go viral, and it scares you, you know? And I feel so sorry for all the people in Florida right now who are probably getting bombarded by several different sources of information. And it probably feels impossible right now to truly understand what's going to happen. We don't need to be scared. We should rather be prepared, as this is going to be a big storm and it's going to have some pretty widespread and significant impacts over here in Florida and potentially even other parts of the southeastern United States. And the center path here from the official.
Okay, so Ryan, who are you talking about? Who's doing all of these scary videos on weather, and because they want to make a lot of money? Scary videos where you're going to come back? Well, I would think that people who are scared of the content wouldn't come back. But I have to wonder, because there are an awful lot, especially Into Thin Air, getting a lot of attention for his videos. And he posts on Twitter, and I don't know if he posts on TikTok, but I'm sorry, but Ryan Hall, the that picture that we all put for our videos that you see on the your home page of YouTube. He actually wrote, "This is escalating too quickly. That's scary, Ryan." Especially for those who have already suffered the consequences of Hurricane Helene. So I don't understand that. Really, I just don't. And I get a little annoyed, because listening to some of his videos, Ryan Hall, well, it sounds pretty scary. Now, here we go. He says it could be a Category 5. Oh, but he knows what he's talking about and nobody else does? I have to wonder if he's talking about those who are posting, claiming that the weather is controlled. Don't listen to them. They're just fear-mongering for money. All right, so let's listen to Into Thin Air.
All right, everyone, welcome back. October 6th, 2024, and we are tracking soon-to-be Hurricane Milton. We are expecting this to be a hurricane later on today and then making its way towards the western coast of Florida as a major hurricane.
And let me just also interject that Into Thin Air, I have seen posted, and his videos, which are, embedded in many people's videos that they are posting. And I just have to wonder if all of the attention going in a direction into thin air, where he is talking about also the weather modification and the frequencies, I do have to wonder if Ryan Hall is a little pissed that he's getting so much attention. And I love that he's getting so much attention because he shows the frequencies. He talks about the weather modification, whereas Ryan Hall will never, ever speak it.
Once again, we warned Florida 4 days ago now about this storm, and now quite literally every single outlet is talking about this. So right off the bat, the data we have for Milton right now, as the posting of this video, Milton is still considered a tropical storm at 60-mile-an-hour sustained winds. This may already be a Cat 1. In fact, I project it to be within the next couple hours at most. At 991 millibars, and take a look at this, moving east at 5 miles an hour. That is very significant, and we're going to talk about that because this is a super rare spot for a hurricane to form. Not only that, but then to move from west to east during its entire lifespan is also super rare. Let's not forget, we also have Hurricane Kirk out here as well as Hurricane Leslie. Not too much threat to land as of now. Also very important, I'm aware we are in the Western Gulf right now, so there is time for this path to change. As of right now, the GFS has landfall taking place around St. Petersburg, Florida, maybe Spring Hill, Clearwater. That has been a common theme over the last couple days. You can see a 960 millibar landfall there. This is ranging between a Cat 2 and a Cat 4. Some of these models even have this thing a possible Cat 5. I don't see that happening, but we need to be very aware of landfall changes because as you can see, a lot of the models have this thing going from about Clearwater and Spring Hill south. There are a couple models that have it kind of hooking north sooner, so still a lot of time for things to change here. But all in all, we are looking like a guaranteed Florida landfall of some sort. Now, I knew right off the bat this storm was going to outperform. Look at these storm cloud heads that are shooting up from the central area of the low pressure system, Milton. These are literally explosions taking place, explosions of energy, and that lets you know that this thing is really ramping up. Underneath this cloud layer, you have these counterclockwise surface layer winds that are beginning to spin and churn this thing, and you will start seeing the formation of this hurricane. It's going to be super nasty, and it's going to be a long next 3 days. Now, I have many people asking me what the effects of this hurricane will be. That's very hard to tell. I mean, if we are anywhere from a 2 to a 4, we're going to expect anywhere from 8 to 18 feet of storm surge. That will also be about 100 to about 150 mile per hour winds. That's a wide range, but that's hard to tell between a 2 and a 4. And one positive thing we can take from this hurricane, if anything, is the fact that we just had Hurricane Helene, and a lot of the areas under watch for Milton are the same areas under watch for Helene. So those plans are already in place. Some people aren't even there. So in a horrible situation, this is a silver lining, you can say. With that said, my friends, that is the update for this afternoon. As always, please follow my X, Instagram, and TikTok channels for...
Oh, TikTok. He does have a TikTok channel. I will say this. I have noticed in my 13 years, going on 14, doing what I do, boy, there's a lot of boys out there that have egos, and their egos get pissed when another boy comes along and steals the attention. And then they get into it. But Into Thin Air, I can't imagine getting into it with Ryan Hall. Yeah, I don't recall any of the women or the girls getting into it, but wow, the guys sure do. I haven't seen that in a while, but YouTube is so different that, yeah, I don't think I'll be seeing that. Anyway, let's move on. Florida. Here we go.
I urge Floridians to finalize your storm preparations now, enact your plan. I highly encourage you to evacuate. We are preparing, and I have the State Emergency Response Team preparing for the largest evacuation that we have seen, most likely since 2017 Hurricane Irma. But to that end, I want to go back to our basics. Evacuate if you are in an evacuation zone. If you are not in an evacuation zone and your house was built in conjunction with the Florida Building Code, which pretty much throughout the state of Florida means after 2004, you may be better just to stay in place. If you're dependent on power, you will need to evacuate. If you're dependent on a special set of circumstances, you'll need to evacuate. But if you're not one of those individuals and you're inland, not in an evacuation zone, it may be better for you to just stay in place.
Wow. This is going to be the biggest evacuation since Hurricane Irma. Okay. Catastrophic event. Who you can't speak anymore because you're scaring people. And this guy behind you, he shouldn't say anything either, because he's already declared states of emergency for, I think, 51 counties in Florida. And that's scary. So people shouldn't listen to you. And I'm sure you're doing it for money. Yeah. Now listen to this. Oh, yikes.
This is a rather strange coincidence about Hurricane Helene that people are talking about on social media, and it has to do with a specific novel. This novel is titled Counting Miracles by Nicholas Sparks. Nicholas Sparks has written such novels like The Notebook. This novel was published on September 24th, 2024. So why are people talking about this novel, and what does it have to do with Hurricane Helene? Well, it all has to do with a specific paragraph in the novel. The setting in the book takes place in North Carolina. Now, the paragraph in this book that has people talking says, Jasper, who is a character in the book, had barely settled into his new job. However, when his life was upended again in September, only a month after Audrey had left, Hurricane Helene unleashed massive rainfall, and a nearby creek in Asheboro quickly rose to dangerous levels. Fortunately, or unfortunately, as the case may be, Jasper was at his house in town, not the cabin, when it began to flood. He pushed through water that soon reached his waist, gathering up photographs from his mantle. This is indeed rather interesting because, like I said, this book was published on September 24th. September 24th is the exact same day that the public had gained knowledge that Hurricane Helene was forming. That was the first day that Hurricane Helene was forming. Just like in the book, Hurricane Helene had targeted North Carolina. Now, in the book, it targets Asheboro, North Carolina, while outside the book, in reality, Asheboro, I do believe, was spared from the hurricane. But one of the locations that does sound like Asheboro, North Carolina, happened to be Asheville. Asheville was one of the locations that was hit the hardest by Hurricane Helene. Looking back.
Okay, yeah. So he also goes into Fire and Fury, Maui. If you don't know, click on the link. And Minutes of Horror will inform you. Yeah, these books, it's weird. Hurricane Helene. It was published September 24th, which means the writing of it was way back when. All right, so Apparently FEMA now is taking credit for an awful lot of the donations that were not FEMA donations, but other people's donations. It's not nice. Well, I have it on my other browser, so you'll see it then. But emotions boil over with FEMA as residents in Treasure Island walk miles in heat to carry in supplies. Where is FEMA? Treasure Island, Florida. Well, if you're not in North Carolina, maybe it's because Floridians needed you. Oh, well, I guess you're not there either.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, as the cleanup and the recovery efforts continue across our area, patience is understandably running thin for some people who are facing a very uncertain future.
And ABC Action News reporter Michael Paluska is on Treasure Island as people are pleading for something to be done. And now.
I'm Michael Paluska here at Sunset Beach, and we just talked to a gentleman who is practically irate because he's been going in and out of this area. It's a long walk down through these dunes, but no one's being let in that lives here. Just contractors and FEMA and police. And look, you can see these guys are carrying gallons of gasoline. People are trying to lug their ice in. There's people carrying their children. And he was extremely angry that they said FEMA's in control. We can't do anything. But all these items that they're trying to get in and out, like ice, food.
All right, so FEMA is there. I'm sorry. But yeah, won't let people that could help them in. Isn't that amazing? And FEMA can't organize something for these people where they can get their supplies and maybe be driven back? No.
Check on their properties, take out valuables because of looters. They got to walk it in and out. So this was him trying to get answers from FEMA just a few minutes ago.
You're going to send it to the right people so that they can help the necessary residents. So you can help the residents here. You are not helping the residents. Okay, but why did you stop it 3 days ago when the people need help now?
And another resident we spoke to who's been shuttling things back and forth on her bike also told us she feels as though this area, Sunset Beach, Treasure Island, has been abandoned. What's your message for the state and for the federal government? He wants
Get down here and help us. Get here. We need help here now. We need it now.
And so here's the thing. We just talked to the PIO for Treasure Island. He says they're not trying to make people lug all their stuff back and forth a mile to their homes. They just can't let all these cars through and cause a traffic jam when they're trying to restore the power, fix the water grid, clear debris, and move.
And there's a simple solution, just organize a few residents so you'll have just a couple of cars coming in and out. No problem, but no, they are lugging everything back and forth. And stores are out of food. Florida. Stores out of food. Category 5, Hurricane Milton. On its way. So he has stocked up. The problem is, with all this massive flooding, you can stock up and then have it all destroyed with just one manufactured hurricane. Biden urges Congress to act quickly as disaster relief funding runs low. Oh, our fabulous government. They're always blaming one branch, pointing fingers. It's your fault. I did my best. Now it's Congress's fault. Biden urged Congress on Friday to expedite funding for the Small Business Administration Disaster Loan Program. Yep, you're going to get a loan. Great. Warning that it will run out of money within weeks amid ongoing recovery efforts in the aftermath of Helene. Now we've got Milton. What are they telling us? Oh no. This is what he said. I warned the Congress of this potential shortfall even before Hurricane Helene landed on America's shores. I was on top of it. It's Congress's fault. He added that he had requested more funding for the loan program multiple times in the past months. Small businesses and individuals in affected areas depend on disaster loans as a critical lifeline during difficult times. The Congress must act to restore this funding. FEMA and the Department of Defense have been carrying out critical life-saving and life-sustaining missions? Really? Due to impacts from Hurricane Helene? Really? Well, from all of the boots on the ground, I hear a very different story. Very different story. In fact, it's day 8. Is it day 8? Or is it day 9? And I haven't heard that all of the military personnel that is just sitting, waiting for their orders, got their orders yet. Look at this. This one place had 50 horses to evacuate.
I'll always look out for you. That's what I'll do. Say
Got to get the horses out real fast because they will destroy their hooves with this water. All right. Yeah. A recent October 5, Vice President Kamala Harris. The people of Lebanon are facing an increasingly dire humanitarian situation. I am concerned about the security and well-being of civilians suffering in Lebanon and will continue working to help meet the needs of all civilians there. Hey, what about that $750 per household, not individual, that, oh, right, people have been applying and getting denied. Oh, right. Okay. So Lebanon, though, okay, to that end, the United States will provide nearly $157 million in additional assistance to the people of Lebanon for essential needs such as food and shelter and water and protection and sanitation to help those who have been displaced by the recent conflict. This additional support brings total U.S. assistance to Lebanon over the last year to over $385 million. This is going out to Americans. Another. And this assistance, you can't think that it actually helps those in Lebanon. What would help them is to stop sending all of those bombs over to Israel for Israel to kill all of these people. That would help. And if they're sending any money, then where is it going, really? Something wrong with us? Yeah, we've literally given our consent for these people to treat us like shit. We need to take back that consent. And a whole lot of people up in the Appalachian Mountains are doing that. This Kelsey Gull, I am so impressed with this woman. She's the one that I also included in a live stream, I think 2 nights ago, who posted on how she too was being stopped and told that she wasn't needed when she knew that she was needed. And she's going back on horseback. She just saved another soul. Don't stop caring. There are people in desperate situations all over the hills. Oh, man. Got to go to another browser. Okay. And here it is. Oh, and I don't think I can play. No, I can't play the song. A song I love. So let's just, I'll put the song in your head for 1 second. Okay. And what she writes here, this road is the only access for 10 to 15 homes. Look at the road. Most of the residents had been able to get out in time or brought down on foot with fire department the day or 2 days before. We were trying to access a campground no one had been able to get to yet. Unfortunately, after cutting our way in with the chainsaw, we found a huge mudslide. There was no way around. And is she on a Mustang? A BLM Mustang? Any of you know, isn't this the BLM tattoo? You know, when they round up all of the Mustangs? I think it is. But we were still able to get some supplies to a couple remaining residents and get one lady down off this mountain. I want America to see how desolate these places are. Media is not doing justice. The death tolls could meet or exceed 9/11, and this state will never be the same. Fire department said they had to cut this man out of his home, carry him across the flooded creek on plywood, and all the way down the mountain on foot. This is his house. Look at this. Wow, we are safe. Many will be forced to abandon their homes for good and move on. There's just not going to be vehicle access and power for so long. Most of the bodies will never be recovered or identified. Tens of thousands of loved ones will never get closure. And this is only a small taste of the destruction down in town. The rubble goes for miles. Pictures will never do justice. There are some very skilled people out there, and they take their talents and use them for good. You ready to listen to this? You ready? Despite obstructing relief efforts, FEMA's Criswell says criticizing her agency is dangerous.
So much is going viral online as well. One user suggested yesterday that a militia should go against FEMA. It got more than 500,000 views. What kind of impact has this had on the recovery effort?
It has a tremendous impact on the comfort level of our own employees to be able to go out there, but it's also demoralizing to all of the first responders that have been out there in their communities helping people, FEMA staff, volunteers, the private sector that are working side by side with local officials to go out and help people. I need to make sure I can get the resources to where they're needed. And when you have this dangerous rhetoric like you're hearing, it creates fear in our own employees. We need to make sure we're getting help to the people who need it.
So much.
And everyone on ground, boots on ground, all these people have a very different story from what she just said. But Americans will believe her. That's why it's important to circulate information. Disgusting. I mean, what did you hear from that man in Florida? You're not helping us. How about the woman on the bicycle? We need help. Right? Is it because you're so afraid of Floridians? I wish we could just completely and utterly ignore government, never let them control us again, and have them so marginalized that no one pays attention to them anymore. Wouldn't that be sweet? Everything Harris has said is a lie. Everything Criswell said is a lie. Listen to this woman.
I love that. Yep. Confiscating everything. That we have had to beg for body bags. Oh my gosh. And funeral homes. Bennett's funeral home got us some too, locally, Bennett's in Conover. But there's been some other people we had phone calls and said, oh, they couldn't approve it from the state. The state had 2,000, but they couldn't approve it because they didn't have no word that there was that many bodies to cover because we'd asked for 500. And so there's no way to even do anything with body bags, with the bodies. Gosh. And they haven't even been able to get to all the places to recover the bodies. Oh. And they're griping about that. And so you got people that can't even leak it in. And Statesville has, it's great. Hickory's been working, but they have to wait for the FDA to approve all the insulin or whatever. And, you know, the sheriff here, he's down here somewhere. I want to introduce you to him. He is a stand-up man. Awesome. He told them to get lost. They tried to shut him down 3-4 times yesterday. I love it. And he ran them off.
If you and your county want FEMA to get lost, the high sheriff can do it. However, FEMA will start acting like a baby and withholding. And so everywhere they're getting involved, it's slowing it down.
Yes, and they even kept us from landing in 2 different places.
Oh my gosh.
For supplies. And they were turning planes around, not letting them land. Had all these pilots and people have been working nonstop 24/7 all week. And all these volunteers, some of the volunteers don't even have power. The sheriff's, his church is making dinner. Awesome. He has worked nonstop, helping everyone. And this right here is the hero of the whole thing.
What's your name? Nice to meet you, Bill. Get this out there. Sheriff Bill Beam is a stand-up man, and I wish more sheriffs were doing the same thing. He is.
The sheriff said, FEMA, get out of here. Because all they do is impede rescue, recovery, help, donations. That's what needs to go on in every county now. And here's another one. who's talking about FEMA. This is a volunteer pilot who is up running rescue. It's, yeah, I haven't heard anyone, and I've watched a lot of videos, I haven't heard anyone say, FEMA, thank you so much. You're such a help. It's the exact opposite.
And in the air. Yes. What has been your takeaway from how they've handled this disaster?
Well, there is a...
So he's been asked, what is your takeaway from how FEMA has handled this disaster?
complete and utter lack of federal government response. We think whoever's in charge right now flew by yesterday through the TFR. I've seen nobody on the ground. Ivanka Trump came yesterday, talked to us. Elon Musk guy's been here talking to us. Glenn Beck is here now talking to us. Have seen no one from the federal government to help out at all. Nobody.
And what do you think about that?
To be honest, it just pisses me off. This is our country. We should be being taken care of priority one instead of all the other countries. It enrages everybody here. 90% of us, there's about 100 to 150 volunteers here at this site. 90% of us are retired military. And it just pisses us off because we sweat blood, sweat and tears for this country, and they don't get back whatsoever.
And so what are some of the successes that you guys have been doing? And that you...
I will post the link and you can watch. You know, now, I mean, the juxtaposition between hearing the truth from people, just ordinary people on the ground, and then our government officials, it's kind of hard. What is hard for me to reconcile is that there are Americans who actually believe the officials over the ordinary people. That is really, I can't figure that out. I mean, we have known all my life, politicians lie all the time. We have seen aid going out to countries when Americans are hurting. We've heard lie after lie after lie after lie. Big ones. Weapons of mass destruction. So we go over and destroy countries. And we find out it's all based on a lie. And we do nothing. And then people who found out, oh, they lied. Then the next thing they say, they will believe. Again, how can you believe liars? I've never understood that. Yeah. There are people talking about a whole lot of bodies. So I'm not playing the entire video. The link is in the chat. But here is another woman talking about her area of the Appalachian Mountains.
And the river and everything in the woods.
Absolutely. All of these people on this road here, anybody that is alive on this road, which by the way, I've heard social media saying like there are 8 dead in Spruce Pine. Maybe they have 8 confirmed bodies, but I have to tell you the truth here, folks. You can smell the bodies in certain places along the river. There were vultures out. They have marked, with they being the National Guard, have marked over 100 bodies in a 6-mile stretch of river. Possible bodies, just where they think they are. You can't see them, guys. The bodies, the smells, the things are either buried in sand or they're up in the trees and they're crushed in sediment.
Yeah, I just saw a chicken right there. You couldn't really tell. Like you'd smell something, but you saw flies.
Yeah. So
the National Guard, is there a lot of National Guard helping right here?
There weren't at first. The first 4 days, 3 to 4 days, we were down here by ourselves. We were helping each other. The only way this entire thing got cleared to here by locals, by the local farmer and our neighbors. the evacuations that happened on this road were primarily started by myself and my neighbors and the local farmers on this road. And then the National Guard got here the day before yesterday. I'm so confused on my days because I haven't had internet or Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But the National Guard did get here, and the National Guard, in collaboration with some fire and rescue folks, were able to help us airlift a 96-year-old couple that had dementia, and they needed to leave. They couldn't stay here. And so we were able to get choppers to them and get them out.
That's good.
But, you know, people are still missing. They have, they are now bringing in body recovery teams. They're specifically, their goal is to specifically get and retrieve bodies so that they can get them to the medical examiner and check their teeth records. So that process is really hard. And it's going to be really challenging. Like, a gentleman handed me body bags, which I had body bags in my car all day yesterday. And I had to explain to him something that had to be explained to me, even as a rescuer. When I watched the National Guard and they confirmed that the smells I had been smelling were most likely bodies, I was like, well, where are they so I can get to them? You can't get to them. They're crushed in debris. They're up in trees. They're under sediment. They're under sand. Unfortunately, it will be a very long time before you find all these people that are missing. And I haven't even had internet, so I don't even know what the number is. And they don't have a number here yet because we're still getting communication.
And where is here generally? Would you call this Green Mountain?
This is called Red Hill.
Red Hill.
That's called Green Mountain.
Okay.
But here's the kicker. The county line was the river. The river's way wider.
Yeah.
So we're in both counties. It's changed.
Right.
A lot of folks kept asking me questions like the swiftwater teams that were coming out. They weren't rescue again, they were recovery. They were asking me how deep the river is. As a river outfitter, and a boater, we had like rocks that we use. We have landmarks that we use. They're gone. I can't tell you how deep the river is because I don't know. And every single water gauge on this river was knocked out by the flood. And we had a working water gauge during Hurricane Fred, and I've reported it broken since Hurricane Fred, but they never fixed it. So, and that was
Again. Every adult needs to question how it is that this hurricane made landfall in Florida and then did this kind of destruction in North Carolina. Nobody's competing for, I guess, space, attention, for the amount of pain, like that video in the beginning of the live that I played. Nobody's competing, but there are people who are experiencing a very different experience than a whole lot of people who lost their homes. That's not to diminish what it feels like to lose everything in your home due to a flood. But Floridians, I do want to say, what happened was not unexpected. You're in Florida. Okay. Up in the mountains in North Carolina, East Tennessee, it was still a hurricane. Completely unexpected. No one there thought that it would ever be this bad. The death of so many. Far more traumatizing. It's not a competition. It's just recognizing the difference in experience.
Hey guys, I want to put a major trigger warning on this video. There's discussions of loss of life and it's graphic. The Hurricane Helene disaster in Western North Carolina was 1 week ago today.
I'm talking to people at the Yancey County Fire Departments, and this is firsthand information and includes quotes. I'm going to try to say it in the calmest way I can because it's really difficult for me to read this on the note that I wrote down. There are 4 reefer trucks full of dead bodies. That we don't have numbers on total losses of life, and I don't even know how many people fit in a reefer truck. But there are 4 reefer trucks full of dead bodies. Small country fire departments are managing this effort. Country fire departments that operate off flip phones before this event. They are pulling dead bodies still out of the river. 5 bodies were found yesterday in the New Deal area. Legs are sticking out of the brush. 1 body was found on Claremont School Road. It looks like a nuclear bomb went off. Arms are under boulders. There's no places for these people to live because they can't set up temporary houses on mountainsides, and everything else is full of silt and wet or ravines or sinkholes. I'm having trouble even getting money out there, although it'll be resolved by the end of the day, because the bank has a sinkhole in the parking lot. A quote says, "It looks like a nuclear bomb went off. Don't know where to put the temporary houses." This is one of the coldest areas of Western North Carolina. One winter, I did some work out there, and it snowed almost every day I was out there. The question she asked me was, how do we get shelter for these people? So many pets have drowned, cows, dogs, farm animals, but people are bringing in hay and food. Yesterday, 10 people were rescued off the side of a mountain. And as soon as they were rescued, the mountain collapsed in a mudslide. So there are still active mudslides out there that are a huge risk to people. Kids are coming out of brush piles and creek beds saying, "Where are my mom and dad?" That's a quote. I have the GoFundMe in my bio. I'm getting wiring information for the fire departments. I'm getting money to these people as soon as I can. I'm keeping track on a spreadsheet. I'm going to release where I'm sending the money and how much for total transparency. I'm a nurse practitioner locally. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner locally. And I just really hope you can help these people.
Unfortunately, when people are posting on TikTok and then those videos are captured and then reposted on Twitter, only one did I see actually linked to a TikTok. No one does that. So when you see this and you're not on TikTok and maybe you can see the TikTok name, but nobody should have to do this. Get the links and then just post it so that people can go to this woman's channel or whatever you call them on TikTok, get more information, donate. You can't, there's nothing I can do. You know, it's very frustrating. Chimney Rock after Hurricane Helene. I'm going to post the link to Hustle Bitch's video, but just play a few minutes. Yeah. There are some things that came out like the first day or 2 days, and I didn't post because I wanted some way to verify the information. And it does seem that they're literally there's towns where they're evacuating everybody and telling them that they can't go back because those towns are going to be razed. Chimney Rock is one of them.
In that clip is fair. Where the hell is FEMA? Well, according to this tweet, they're on.
So here, Spartanburg, South Carolina, my daughter and 2 grandbaby babies are in Spartanburg without electricity, phone service, internet. And when I called FEMA today on their behalf, I was shocked to hear that Biden has yet to approve disaster assistance for individuals and households. FEMA agent on the line was stunned as well. She said, "This isn't right. This is ridiculous." Yeah. I did post the link, right? Maybe I didn't. It's another good video to circulate. Oh, I'm going to read this. Ryan Tier. For all of those who think that FEMA is just fabulous, well, it's really not. And it's kind of long, so bear with me. If you're wondering why citizens are being turned away that are coming to help North Carolina and Tennessee, you'll want to hear my experience as someone who has been doing this as a private citizen for almost a decade. And he posted pictures, so okay. So he has an organization, and here they are. He's been doing it for a long time. Okay. So I was able to get into and out of Asheville. We brought food, water, fuel, and other supplies as well as helped people affected by the floods. But there are reasons why they are not allowing outside help. I cannot confirm the reasons why in North Carolina, but I can tell you the reasons in other storms I have worked. One of those storms, Irma. In the Florida Keys with Hurricane Irma, after Texas got hit with Harvey, we finished our efforts in Texas and were the first citizen team to make it to Key Largo. Do you remember that, ma'am? Harvey hits Texas, then Irma comes in. This has been going on for a very long time. Yeah, the first citizen team to make it to Key Largo. For those who don't know the Keys, maybe in another country, that's the tail off Florida. The Keys are absolutely just beautiful. Everything, the water is okay. The federal agencies had US 1 shut down just south of Key Largo and wouldn't let anyone in or out, even though the road was okay to pass. We explained to them that we had boats, jet skis, food, water, chainsaws, and fuel to bring to these people. They didn't care, wouldn't let us in. It was night by that point, and you rarely saw the lights of vehicles in the distance on the individual keys, meaning the emergency response teams from FEMA weren't even working. It was all quiet. We decided that we would go in anyways. We filled up the boats and jet skis with all we could reasonably carry and went by water around all their bullshit blockades and around their law enforcement presence on the water. It was 87 miles by water to get to our first stop, Cudjoe Key and Sugarloaf Key. When we arrived there, we were greeted by a homeowner who was elated to see us and all the supplies we brought. His house was in shambles. We started offloading supplies on the shoreline and helping to get them into his house. During that process, he explained to us that FEMA had set up a command center at a local high school on the island, but that they weren't doing anything to help the residents, not even bringing them water. Instead, he explained that they were driving around using a loudspeaker, telling people to stay in their homes. They weren't even helping the homeowners with supplies. I've heard that before by another source a couple of years ago. Going around telling, yeah, loudspeaker, stay in your homes. You got to wonder what they're doing, right? I was skeptical at first while he was telling me all of this, but then he said something that broke my heart. He told us that the people of the Keys were all in despair because they had just seen weeks before the overwhelming support for Texas with Hurricane Harvey. The overwhelming support there was. Unfortunately, a lot of people were not helped, even in Harvey. Oh, you saw all the celebrities doing their show at the phones, taking donations. Millions upon millions upon millions. Didn't go to those people. It went to the city of Houston. And that's just one example. There were so many performances put on to donate for Harvey. Okay. So they were in despair. They saw an awful lot of attention given to Harvey, nothing for them. His neighbors on all of the Keys felt like Americans had forgotten about them completely because at this point, 5 days after landfall, all they had seen was FEMA, and they were of no help. The residents were cut off from the outside world, no cellular, no internet, no way to contact anyone or hear of any efforts to try to help them. The only communication they had was from a local radio station on Sugarloaf Key that was broadcasting on AM to the surrounding keys. The man, after hearing that there were citizens trying to bring them help, but being refused entry by federal law enforcement, was visibly upset. He and his neighbors really thought the country had abandoned them. He insisted that we get into this waterlogged truck, his waterlogged truck, and take him to the radio station so that they could go live on air to tell those trapped in the Keys that Americans were thinking about them. It was government trying to stop them. We have to forget about government. Okay, so after that, we were determined to help as many people as we could, and we were met with red tape throughout the whole process and time we were there in the Keys. We finally were able to talk some authorities to let us down to Faro Blanco Resort in Marathon Key towards the end of Boot Key. This was the same hotel where state and local authorities were staging their personnel, and they were happy to see us. I was able to coordinate several trucks full of supplies brought down to Marathon. The reason, the trucks, right? But was informed in that meeting that all of the semi-trucks full of food, water, hygiene supplies were to be turned around and not allowed to be offloaded for distribution. The reason they gave us was that these donations were not from companies on their preferred vendors list money and that they would not accept them or give them to the residents of the Keys impacted by the storm. It was at that point that I realized this is all about money. These preferred vendors are getting part of the money being released by the state and federal government for each disaster. In turn, some of the vendors make it on the list because a friend gets them on the list. And in return for getting ridiculously outlandish amounts of compensation for the services they render, they give kickbacks. So accepting outside donations, even though they are on location and can help people now, they would rather let people suffer so they can get their kickbacks. There's more that you can read on your own. Our country, 'tis of thee, has been taken over by the thieves. Very interesting. It's only 10 minutes. The link is in the chat. I'm just going to play the first couple of minutes.
Hey, Phrase, it's me. It is really bad up here. My neighborhood has no way to get in and out. The whole road is washed away. And the neighbors are all pitching together. Many people don't have any water or power. My generator is working. I do have some water. It's going to be limited because the tank is going to go empty. Nobody can get to us for anything.
Hello, my name is Fraser Jones. I'm a video producer at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and I'm about to head to Asheville, North Carolina. I've been here in Atlanta filming the storms and aftermath of Hurricane Helene. The past few days, but unfortunately Asheville is hit much worse than what we've seen here. I have a mother that lives in Asheville, and I hadn't heard from her for a few days. It wasn't until Saturday that she got cell service again. She climbed to the top of a mountain and called me with 1 bar of service, telling me how dire the situation was in Asheville.
Maybe I'll be able to drive out by the end of the week. I can't get any text, any phone. I mean, the whole city is decimated. The water rose at the river at least 21 feet, and houses were floating down. A person was on top of the house yelling for help, and it's awful. It's really tragic and very heartbreaking what's happening here. But I'm fine. I'm fine.
My mom's still stuck in Asheville. She's been there about 3 days now in the aftermath of this storm and is slowly running out of water and food. I'm packing up to hopefully get my mom out of there. Filling up gas in Greenville. Might be the last gas station I hit. Never used a portable gas jug, and they only have 1 gallon ones available. Apparently there's not gas near Asheville, so I'll take what I can get.
Getting closer, and this is when it's starting to get bad. The roads are totally shut down to get to my mom's house. There's just destruction everywhere from the flooding. BP sign is totally down. This building here, I think it was a cafe before, is just totally destroyed. The street I need to try to get down to get to my mom's house, but I think I'm just gonna have to walk that. Alright, I parked as close as I could get. There's a bridge down further ahead, so I'm having to leave my car here and hike about a mile to my mom. This whole road looks like it was destroyed entirely by the water. The Department of Transportation is fixing this road. They've been working around the clock apparently to put gravel back in to give people an access road in and out. There's my mama. Mama!
Welcome to Eastmore.
Hey.
So happy you're here.
I am too.
You can watch the last 7 minutes. Yes, I heard that. There was so much rain before Helene came in. Yeah, and it's not good. It's very bad. Really bad. People are asking for, just be sensitive to the locals, because they're getting a lot of people who are just coming up, filming, and not really helping.
Going down Pensacola Road, also that road that was closed by National Guard is open and it is devastating.
Misinformation because the government won't cooperate. Yeah. And anything that does seem legitimate, the government's there and it's top secret information. Here I haven't been able to do anything except for misinformation and unload supplies. Other places I've been, I've helped people clean out, help find people, but I've not had to pull anybody out yet.
Awesome. Thank God for the people that are alive and being pulled out by people like you and other volunteers that have clearer communication than them, than the government.
General public is rocking this.
They are.
The government is dropping this.
They are.
But rest assured, all the politicians are taking tours. I've been seeing Facebook posts. They're landing everywhere. They're walking around taking pictures.
They consume so much airtime in Black Mountain.
And they'll give you $750 if you lose your house.
Oh, yeah. Wow. $750, and how many billions are going overseas?
And when we went to Candler and I met with a veteran up there, when we pulled up to the church was surrounded by people with AKs and ARs. Yeah. And the reason why, and it wasn't necessarily to protect them against the violence in the area, it was also to protect them against FEMA. Wow. Because FEMA is blocking roads. They're also taking all the supplies from people that are coming up into the area, and they're going to the churches and the schools, and they're taking all the donations from there as well too. Wow. So, and this is also hearsay, but he's not the only person I've heard this from. I've heard this from multiple people that FEMA is going in and they're taking all the supplies, so people don't know where their stuff is going. Yeah. And it's really frustrating because when everyone gives that kind of money and that time and stuff like that, the last thing they want is for the government to come in and to take all this stuff and distribute it themselves. Yep. Right. So, and I mean, we
can distribute it better than
way better. And we have.
Yeah. Another thing too, I understand that they only want new clothing. They only want new clothing. But how are you going to try to tell someone that was literally floating on their fucking house down the river? That the only clothing that they can get from people are literally clothing that's no one ever used. I'm pretty sure they're going to take used clothing because they don't have anything. Right. So give these people something. They deserve more than $750.
Yeah, okay, and that's the other thing. That pisses me off too, because literally, all this money going to all these other countries.
Yep. Oh,
whatever.
Nah, I don't.
Why are our tax dollars not here?
We need it here.
We don't get
these people that lost everything, that literally have some, not even the clothing on their back. Yep. They deserve more than $750.
Yes, they do. Insurance companies need to make sure these people are covered, because I've heard
hopefully
that they're not. I don't know.
No, we do know. We spoke to people and they said we didn't have flood insurance. These people are impoverished.
$750.
It was $500 a month, and they couldn't afford it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go put my.
Wow. I'm so sick of this. He's a transgender. Oh my God. Fuck me. God. Ugh. So sick of it. Don't understand that mentality. Everyone is. Everyone is. All right. So this is on the contract. I tried to find the contract. I can't find it. I tried to find some verification on this. Can I see FEMA doing this? Absolutely. Flood relief scam. Okay. Always read the fine print.
This is the veteran FEMA inspector.
Yes.
I have a dire warning to those that are going to take the money. There is a contract at the beginning when the inspector gets there, before he starts inspecting. There's a contract that the claimant has to sign. Practically illegible. The writing is so small. 12 years ago, I had to use a magnifying glass, and that's when my eyes were good. In that contract, if you do not pay the money back, it is a loan.
What?
A loan. And even if it's just $1 or $750, if you don't pay it back, they have the right to seize all of your property.
That's insane. The $750 that they're saying that they're going to give people, that's a loan? It's in the contract to receive it?
Yes, there is a contract that you sign before the inspector starts his inspection. You have to sign off on it, but there is a contract inside, and they even have, even for people that could not speak English, there was a translator that I would speak into it, and it would speak to them in Spanish or translate it in writing. And they have to sign this contract for the inspector to even start the inspection. If you take that money and don't pay it back, they can seize your property at any point after a year.
That's crazy. Well, thanks for the heads up. So folks, heed his message here. If there's anything that you got to sign or contract before you receive any assistance, make sure that you are well aware of what you're signing.
If this doesn't prove that this country is a corporation, just think about this. They're going to charge their own people for relief, basically, when they will give over $3 billion to Ukraine, not to mention how many billions of dollars they've sent to Israel over the years. These poor folks lost everything, and they're going to charge them interest and seize their property if they don't pay it back. I tell you what, anybody that's still voting for these thieves, they are the problem.
All right. We've had a problem with our government my entire life, 65 years. We haven't done anything about it. We know now the corruption is in our face every single day. We don't do anything about it. Okay, so it's only going to continue. And they're really now making us out to be such fools. When Kamala Harris comes out, says, well, I'm going to give $157 million to Lebanese for their food and shelter and security. And okay, 750, read the fine print. Fine print apparently says if you don't pay it back, we can seize your property. Small business loans, okay, coming out of the government will pretty much be the same thing. And if you don't believe that our government would do such a thing, then you are so clueless about what our government has been doing over the years. If you have governments that can seize people's property because they made a mistake with their property taxes of $18, it was an elderly woman, $18. She didn't realize it. And then she gets notice that the city or town is confiscating her property for $18. All right. This is going on. So we need to figure out a way to protect our own selves, right? Yeah, it's very important. Very important. And yeah, I was There was another video, and it wasn't in Chimney Rock. I can't remember where it was, but this woman said that all of the houses that have X's on it were to be demolished. That's government orders. They're demolishing, and they were demolishing all of the homes in this neighborhood. But that woman's house, had bad flooding damage, but it was still standing. But her house was marked X, to be demolished. Government is not your friend. All of you know that, but we've got to get the word out there. Not your friend. They're not there to help you. They're actually there to destroy you. That's what evil does. They destroy people. Destroy life. Wasn't it People of the Lie? Scott Peck. Wow. Can't believe People of the Lie was really my Bible to understand my life experience with my family. But it was Scott Peck that his son actually said to him, evil is live spelled backwards. Yeah. So, since we never did anything to fight the evil, what we can do now is help those suffering from the evil. So, a lot of people are out, and I have to tell you, I've never seen people quite like those up in the Appalachian Mountains. They are impressive, a very impressive lot. But a whole lot of people are coming from all over the country helping out. So we have to learn. That's also one of the reasons why it's important to watch these videos, because you get nuggets of wisdom. Certainly if you watch, the videos, wow, okay. So for those people who didn't have their cars destroyed, their homes destroyed or whatever, but they didn't have gas. So in that video that I linked to, which was this couple trying to get out of Asheville, they started getting scared. They couldn't get out of Asheville, but they show the lines where people were lined up to get gas for like 48 hours, these lines. Well, that's how long they were there. But, and they said they were in the hotel and they heard people screaming at one another because the gas station was right across the street. Always make sure that you have a full tank of gas so that you can get out of a place if you need to. So, yeah, do all you can to, lessen the stress, lessen the burden of life, because we haven't lived this. We've never seen this kind of destruction taking place. And we have been, a privileged people. Doesn't matter what color of skin you have. A whole lot of people were not, but as Americans, we just lived our lives and we allowed our government to kill all the people all over. Well, evil is not selective. Now it's killing us. It has been for years. And we have to change, to adapt to this. And the change is really about getting out there in your community, trying to get a community. And number one change, live honestly and speak honestly. Be trustworthy because people need it when they're hurting. They really need a trustworthy human being when they're hurting. When they don't have that in their life, what happens to them? They keep everything inside and get worse and worse. So, thanks for showing up, and hope to see you tomorrow night. Stay safe. Look at this. Another row. Up. Yeah. Bringing on the severe weather. But look at this. Look at this pulsating frequency down here in Florida. The hell are they doing? That's been going on for hours. I captured this. This was in the afternoon going on. It's still going on. So, our weather, for sure, people must think that it's quite strange, right? It's not climate change. I'd love to see that lie die. Well, I can dream. Ciao, guys.